Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. May I please have an approval of the agenda?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Dr. Williams, in Dr. Baskin's absence, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we're at announcements and recognitions. Lisa, for announcements, please.
Good evening, everyone. We are so proud of our 35 graduates from Beloit Memorial, the Virtual School, Beloit Learning Academy, and Roy Chapman Andrews Academy. We wish them well in their next stage of life. Summer school is off to a great start, and we will be getting an update during the superintendent's report tonight. The summer food program kickoff picnic was last Thursday, June 23rd. We had an amazing turnout of 372 students and 176 adults for a total of 548, which is great. The only athletic code meeting is tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock at the high school. Every student that is planning on being involved with athletics for the 16-17 school year for both intermediate and high school is required to attend. And finally, given the horror that happened in Orlando just recently, I would like to take this time to ask us to have 30 seconds of silence, please, as we remember those 49 people who were killed. Thank you. This concludes the June announcements.
Thank you, Lisa. This seems a little awkward. It's now time for recognitions, and so I'm so used to saying, Melissa, could you help us? Michelle, could you help us tonight with some outstanding recognitions?
Good evening. We have 3 recognitions tonight. I'd like to start first with Holly Fisher, so if you'd join me at the podium. Holly is one of the wonderful volunteers in our district that has done some outstanding work in collecting donations from anything from deodorant to Christmas gifts to winter coats. You name it, Holly has probably collected it in one of her donations. So she does have a few words that she'd like to say before I present her with her certificate. Holly?
Hello, everybody. Usually I like to fly under the radar, but I think this is an important thing to come and bring to light. Currently, we have 568 classified homeless children in our district, with 150 unaccompanied youth, meaning they have no parental support whatsoever. Our goal was to help these kids with their basic needs. We are moving to Michigan. We got transferred to Hastings, Michigan, so we will no longer be in the area. We do want to continue to support the kids from afar, but we figure that now it's time to hand it over to Beloit. So if we can all work together to try to bring some of the basic needs to our students to help them stay in school, keep their focus on their studies instead of hunger or shelter or clothing or basic hygiene items. Some of the social workers have given me a list of simple things that could be dropped off at the school, and I would really like it if we can involve the community. And I know all of you have connections with churches, social groups. Your friends on Facebook is an awesome way to do it. We need school supplies, food cards, deodorant, hygiene items, snacks, backpacks, and winter gear on a regular basis. These are constant needs in every one of our schools. We have schools that have full closets going now with McNeil, Fran Fruzen, a high school with Alyssa, and Hackett is our grade school connection, I believe. They have all offered to take in donations and share them with the other schools that don't have the room. So if you guys can help in finding areas for closets for these schools, so every school can have a closet where they can go and access items on a regular basis, the donations will come in, I guarantee it. I'd like to bring Alyssa up if I can so she can share some of her needs. We'd like to take this opportunity to just be able to speak out on behalf of all these kids that don't have a voice. But thank you.
Thank you. Holly pretty much said a lot of what I was going to say, just some of those basic hygiene needs, the clothing, the winter items. I know we have a lot of support when it's back to school with just the backpacks and the notebooks, pencils and paper. And I just want to thank all the schools for allowing us that space in the school to store all this stuff. Our kids are able to come down, just grab what they need without feeling embarrassed and head back to the classroom and have those academic needs met. I don't know if there is any room and any leftover funding. Some of the other things that we've run across at the high school is just iPad insurance needs. Since our kids do move around so much, just making sure that those iPads stay stable and not damaged, and then chargers too. And you know, to continue to support our teachers and educating our children who deal with the trauma and hardships. I know we work with each school to kind of educate what McKinney-Vento needs look like, what to look for in the classroom. So continuing to support those teachers, and like Holly mentioned, just assisting us with community partners. We've built a lot of good relationships with shelters, with Goodwill, just the churches. Just Frito-Lay,
Staples.
Yeah, a lot of different partnerships. So if you have any connections, or if anyone mentions you know, volunteering to help our students, we greatly appreciate that. So thank you.
And people love to help. You'll be surprised if you just put it on your Facebook page that we're doing a granola bar drive or individually wrapped snack drive. You'd be shocked what will show up on your doorstep. And they'll even drop ship it by Amazon, which is awesome. So I just hope that you guys continue to support these kids. I know that I'm going to miss every one of these social workers. They are a fantastic group of people, and I feel blessed to have met every one of them. So thank you for inviting me here tonight. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Do you have any questions or anything?
Holly, I don't have a question, but I have a comment. You talk about finding a closet for
Yes.
things. Your house was a closet.
Yes, our entire lower level of our house, and if anyone knew, we live in College District. We had a big old Victorian. The entire basement was a clothing and supply closet. All those items have been dispersed and distributed throughout all the schools. All the social workers had open doors for about, 2 weeks. They could come in and out and take whatever they wanted, which they pretty much emptied it. So all those items are still in the district. They're at the 4 schools or 5 schools that I mentioned that do have existing closets, and like I said, they're opening their doors to the other schools as well.
And I just want to say thank you for opening your house all these years. Your front porch was a donation center. Your back porch, I remember you telling me, go wherever you want, front or back.
I had 15 bags when I came home today on my front porch.
Yeah, and I loved the way you made sure that the needy children got Christmas gifts.
I am doing that again this year.
Okay.
We will do Christmas for the kids one more time. I have a stockpile of new items, and that will happen one more time. We adopt the most needy or deserving family from each school. We did 105 kids last year. We did all the unaccompanied youth with the help of Staples, and we will continue to do that one more time this year.
And how about the Facebook page? What was the title of it, and who's going to be running it now?
The title was 1649 Holly's Kids. That I came in at the very beginning of Project 1649. I was at the meetings with Mark and Robin and Ann, and I just sat in behind and listened. And that's kind of how I got linked in with the project. And I had to put Holly's Kids on there because I actually worked for Rockton School District for 19 years. And I am actually from Northern Illinois. So my idea was to put my name in there so that the Northern Illinois people would recognize my name. And we linked Northern Illinois to Southern Wisconsin, and it was a huge success.
Well, thank you. I mean, I can't say thank you enough. You're an extremely generous, wonderful woman, and you gave up I know all of your spare time and your home to this effort to help the kids of Beloit, and we just can't thank you enough, and we're really going to miss you.
We have to thank Dave, my boyfriend, because he's the one that made it possible. He allowed me to get into this craziness. So.
All right, thank you, Dave, too.
Yes, he's in Michigan already, but thank you, everybody. You have a wonderful city, and I'm so happy that we could help your kids, and we will continue to do so. Hope you step on board, too.
There you go, Holly. There you go. So we just want to share that in recognition from the school district and the Board of Education that your generous support toward the district's students and families through your volunteerism and your tireless work with the social workers and the teachers to meet all of the needs of our students and our families and our community. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Enjoy
Thank you.
Michigan. We'll miss
Thank
you.
you very much.
Two things real quickly. Holly, you didn't answer about the Facebook page. So is someone taking that over?
It's kind of hard to take over. Actually,
Okay.
Facebook has taken away, it was a personal page where I could get very personal with people and actually message them. They turned it into a business page on me without me realizing it. So what I've been doing is encouraging staff and board members and just people in the community to post those needs on.
So the page will stay up and running.
I'll keep it up, yeah,
Okay.
especially through this year because I
Okay.
will do Christmas.
Yeah, because one thing I can attest to is she's right. It is her entire basement. Yeah. And she is extremely organized. I was going to send her down to my house to do that. But the other thing I was hoping you could do, if maybe Alyssa, you could send out an email to us or have Michelle send one out so that people know how to keep it going now that Holly is gone. Because I think I won't remember 2 minutes afterwards where I should send everything. So I think that would be helpful too. But thank you again, Holly.
I can send staff just the number they can even do liaisons at each school. They would be the main point of contact for any donations or any questions or any families who know who might be in need.
Let me just say on behalf of Dr. Johnson and the many kids that you've touched, thank you.
Okay. Our next recognition is Amanda Celine and the yearbook students and staff. If you want to come on up. So they're going to pass out yearbooks, and Amanda's going to tell you a little bit about it.
Thank you. I'm Amanda Celine. I was the yearbook. I returned as the yearbook advisor this year. 4 years ago, Jennifer Schmitz and I took yearbook over, and we made it a class. And then the next 2 years, Ms. Schmitz took it over, and then I came back this year. So the theme this year is Dawn of a Century. The yearbook actually celebrated its 100-year anniversary, so hence the name Dawn of a Century. We had a lot of fun working on this together. I have Adam Hernandez, who was a senior, so he came back to help distribute yearbooks. This was his 4th year. Adam was with us since the beginning when class started, so he was the first. His class was the first to go through the yearbook as a class, and Arizona's a junior, so I'll have her for one more year, right? I'm sure you've probably seen them around. We got them in at the end of May, but just as I was reflecting about yearbook this year, we did some alumni interviews, and we actually had a 1959 graduate in here. So on page 147, Kay Ward was in there. Her daughter Jane worked at the school district. I don't know that she'll be back next year, but it was really nice. Her mom had never been back to school since she graduated. So the day she came during lunch. She did the interview with our students, and then Jane, her daughter, took her through the school and gave her a tour. She said in some ways the school had changed, and in other ways it wasn't, and she just was really grateful for the students. She had a really great interview with them, and she said the staff and the students were just really so kind to her, and she was really happy to come back to her alma mater and see how it had changed and the kids. So thank you two for helping me out this year a lot, and thank you for taking these yearbooks.
Before you go, we have certificates for all the students and for you, Amanda, as well, for your hard work and dedication for the yearbook publication, and to all the students and staff in the school district of Beloit. And the yearbooks are beautiful again. Love them in color.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So So for our last recognition, I hate to say it, but Melissa Badger, will you please join me up here? I'm sure my job up here is nowhere near as good as yours, so. So Melissa is leaving us. She's moving on to other pastures, but she will surely be missed. So it's in grateful recognition that we want to present you with the plaque and a certificate for your service and your commitment and all the accomplishments that you have done. And we wish you well in your many adventures coming forth. One of the things that I have thoroughly enjoyed with having Melissa as a coworker is her innovative ideas and her forward thinking, as well as helping to do different ideas when it comes to convocation and fun things to keep morale up here at COLAC, and different parties we've planned over the years together, and all staff picnics that we've done, and different superintendents we've worked for. And so it's been a pleasure working with you and having you here, and I'm really going to miss you. And I do have a special little story from somebody in the audience. Jen, if you want to come up and share your little story.
Okay, so I don't know if I've ever told you this. So long before I started working in Beloit, I kind of fell in love with Beloit by listening to AM radio and hearing Melissa Badger on the radio every morning on my way to work. And I knew that if I could work in a place where someone had enough to share every morning on the radio about the great things that were happening in Beloit, and then to literally be able to say to people, is that person really that happy and nice all the time? And people I knew in Beloit saying, yes, absolutely. I think Melissa was sort of my entrance into first falling in love with Beloit and being Beloit proud. So thank you. Way too nice. Thank you. Love you.
So we have the recognition for you. Thank you. And your certificate. And we will miss you. Does anybody from the board want to say anything?
Nora?
Well, Melissa, I too can't say enough about your infectious smile and your attitude. You're always upbeat. And I know there have been sometimes it's really pretty stressful, but you would never know it with that smile and positive words. So it's been a pleasure to have you on board, and I wish you all the best in whatever you do in the future. I know Chris is going to see you, but come back and visit. We'd like to see the smile and hear what's happening. So good luck.
Melissa. Don't make me cry. So thank you for all that you've done. I know you're not going far. I know that all that positivity, all that energy, we're still going to see. And thank you for that. Thank you for being the face of Beloit. Thank you for always being upbeat regardless of what may be surrounding you or the district. Not you, but the position. Thank you for being the ray of sunshine. Thank you for reminding us it's okay to smile, it's okay to be proud, and it's okay to embrace who we are and where we're going. And thank you for always keeping us grounded. You'll definitely be missed.
I guess that's it for tonight.
Miss Badger, I would give you my famous Miss Badger because this is my last time. But I just want to say thank you for welcoming us here. You know, we're the new kids on the block, but you made us feel right at home. I want to thank you for everything that you've done and all of your outstanding support during our tenure here. You know I'm going to miss you.
Melissa, and I do have a funny story about always welcoming the new people. The dumb questions that I asked her the last 2 months, and I would never ask anybody else. I would call Melissa or I would email her, and she'd say, it's okay. And then she'd say, that's not my part, but you can call so-and-so, or you, and I will tell you, never ever said, boy, Shelley, that was a dumb question. So I appreciate that. You always smile, always laugh, and I'm sure I'll still see you at the hockey rink. So.
All right, thank you, folks. We're now at the point on the agenda. If there are citizens or delegations that would like to speak to an area of interest that is not included on tonight's agenda, I'd ask that you rise and please approach the podium? Seeing that we have an individual who would like to, I have a little bit I need to read. So members of the audience, the Board of Education is now at the place on the agenda where we will receive public comments from citizens or delegations of area of interest that are not on tonight's agenda. The Board of Education will generally not respond or act on items that are not on tonight's agenda. Appropriate items will be referred to administration or one of the board's committees. Citizens wishing to speak on one of the posted agenda items may do so as items are called by the board president. While the board and district welcome public comments, we as a board also must ask that you exercise care in your comments that relate specifically to district employees or persons connected with the school system. In order to protect the rights of these individuals and in the interest of complying with open meetings law on prior postings of items for consideration at the meeting, the board reserves the right to end comment on such topics. The use of specific names of district personnel may lead to legal liability on the part of the speaker. The board would also remind the public that the board has existing procedures in place to dispose of legitimate complaints against staff members and persons related to the system. Persons desiring to speak should come to the podium, give their name and address before beginning to speak. Each person is asked to speak no more than 3 minutes. Are there persons who wish to speak at this time? Welcome.
Hi, I'm Tia Johnson. I live at 1621 Indian Road, and it's good to see some fresh faces on the board, and hopefully behind those fresh faces there are lots of inquisitive brains there going on. I am here because I wanted to let some of you know, and some of you already do know, in 2011 my husband and I opted to take our children out of the school district of Beloit. Now that the primary reason for us making that decision is no longer there, we are considering bringing our students back. I know that sometimes when families opt out, the board and administrators would like to know why. I'm considering coming back, and I want to share some of my thoughts with you. So, first, on Tuesday, June 14th, between the hours of 8 and 10:30 a.m., my children and I were at Roosevelt Park, right out here, practicing softball for my son's upcoming Boy Scouts team. And it was just the three of us. During this time, 15 to 20 teenage boys, young adult men, wearing purple and white shirts, and I'm not saying that they're any of your boys or whatnot from the school district, but they were wearing purple and white, 75% at least were wearing purple and white, came and started harassing my daughter. I'd like to think they were harassing me, but no, I'm not, the gray hairs give it away. But anyway, harassment is harassment. The harassment was from as little as catcalling and the whistling and shouting out certain things about her anatomy to such vulgarities as telling her she needed to give up batting and go put a tampon in. This isn't right. Now, I'm not saying it's your guys. I do hope that somebody will look into it and see if or if not it is. Because if this is the standard, if this is the bar that the Beloit School District has for harassment, and if that's acceptable, I will say once they started running drills, it stopped. I don't know if some coach or someone came, I don't know. I was focusing on trying to keep my children doing what we were doing and ignoring what they were doing. If it hadn't been for that incident, I wouldn't be here tonight. I would have said, okay, you know what? It seems like a pretty good school district. My son has already toured the school he's interested in, and you know what? It's okay. But then realized, you know what? There is an ambiance of this type of behavior that is being accepted. It has to stop. It's been my understanding that a board member in the past was either harassed or threatened. And rather than immediately taking the supposed harasser out of his or her position, that person kept going, leaving the rest of the school district vulnerable to any future harassment by that person. I want to know when my children come to this district that those teachers are focused on teaching, not worried about, oh, if they get harassed, how they're going to have to handle it, who they can trust, who they can go to. It needs to stop. I hope that you guys will look into that. Again, you know what? It could have been any random set of, maybe the Beloit College boys decided to wear purple one day. I don't know. But I do hope from now on, if a board member or a community member or a staff member comes forward and says, hey, this is an issue, this happened, don't be dismissive. Take what they say verbatim. Do the investigation. Put that person on hold. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members or citizens that would like to speak to the board at this time? Seeing none, let's move forward now with superintendent's report to the board.
All right, good evening, everybody. At this point, I don't know if Mr. Bonds wanted to talk first. Should I just go ahead? Okay. Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Williams. Beloit Summer School is off to a great start. Summer school started on June 20th and will conclude on July 29th, 2016. The elementary sites are Robinson, under the leadership of Miss Melody Wirgo and Secretary Miss Missy Poglaze. Gaston is under the leadership of Miss Sheila Marshall and Secretary Miss Julia Edwards. The intermediate sites are Cunningham, under the leadership of Miss Jennifer Fanning and Secretary Miss Andrea Douglas. Miss Fanning is on board for the first 4 weeks, and Miss Ursula Etheridge will be principal for the last 2 weeks of summer school. The other intermediate site is Fran Fruzen, under the leadership of Mr. Kevin Kitzler and Secretary Deb Peterson. Miss Jennifer Pepke will be the principal for the last 4 weeks of summer school at Fran Fruzen. The secondary program is at Beloit Memorial High School under the leadership of Miss LaKimberly Jefferson and Mr. John Kaminsky, and Miss Yadira Castellanos is the secretary. There are a total of 2,056 students enrolled for the summer school 2016. There were a total of 1,829 students enrolled for summer school for 2015. Our goal for summer school was to increase student registration and do a better job at community outreach. I'm happy to say that we are on the right path, and our goal is to continue to increase student enrollment and continue with a positive outreach message to the community for future summer schools. This year, we committed to an aggressive advertisement campaign. We purchased ads in the Beloit Daily News, La Vaz, State Line News, and the Chronicle. There were posters, banners, and flyers distributed in the schools and the community, as well as PSAs and numerous call-out to parents. This is an example of some of the advertising that was sent out. Hopefully, many of you saw this. Online registration as well as on-site registration at all schools made the process for parents more convenient and consumer-friendly. All principals and staff did a great job talking about summer school in their buildings and at school events and in the community. For the first time, a district survey was conducted to take suggestions from staff regarding possible course offerings. The response from staff was tremendous. For the first time, we developed a list of staff who expressed an interest in teaching or working as support staff during summer school. The list was a great step forward in allowing all summer school principals to review the list and start the hiring process early. It was very convenient for staff to be able to apply online.
This year, Beloit Virtual Learning, for the first time, became a part of the summer school experience for 35 students, grades 7 through 12. Under the leadership of Jennifer Pepke, students are involved in credit recovery as well as core curriculum classes and enrichment opportunities. Students enrolled in the 4K Even Start program are also included this year as summer school attendees for the first time. Our district is very committed to raising the literacy levels of all of our students. With that in mind, another first. All of our summer school students will have the opportunity to take advantage of the rich resources located in the library media centers at all summer school sites. The centers will be open for students' use for the duration of summer school. Also, for the first time, 8th grade students who in the past years attended summer school at the intermediate school sites are now considered incoming freshmen and are attending summer school at Beloit Memorial High School. Incoming freshmen were able to enroll in classes for credit, non-credit, and enrichment. Some of the problems encountered the first week of summer school involved balancing enrollment in classes, same-day registrations, making sure that the schedule developed was working, and if it wasn't, making adjustments, helping little ones get on and off the bus, and comforting them when they couldn't remember their name, and helping parents as needed. In anticipation of transportation problems, we provided weekly reports to Durham Bus Company so that they could develop bus routes prior to the start of summer school. Late registration accounted for some of the transportation problems encountered the first week. Another problem was transportation for students to wraparound services provided by the YMCA and the State Line Boys and Girls Club. Some parents were confused. Students still must meet transportation requirements established by the district in order to qualify for transportation to wraparound services. We will make that very clear to parents in the future. The staff worked diligently to resolve problems that occurred in a timely manner and will continue to do so for the duration of summer school. In closing, I would like to thank our summer school principals and staff for their effort to ensure that all of our students will have a very successful and rewarding summer school experience. Thank you. Are there questions? Aren't you excited about how many kids we have enrolled?
You knocked my socks off. Is there a possibility to get some of those numbers, and can we market that out and really, sing the praises of everything we've done and our increase in our numbers?
Yes, certainly. Mm-hmm.
Lisa.
Well, thank you, Ralph, that was great. What were the numbers? So it's just over 2,000 now, but what has it been in the past?
Last year it was 1,800 and, hold on just a moment.
Do we have it coming?
1,829 last year. This year, 2,056.
Yeah.
Additional questions? Thank you.
Mr. Berkeley,
Yes.
if I may, let me just say thank you, and also to Dr. Buns. I know how much work he's been putting into it and working with you.
Yes.
And I just want to say thank you on behalf of Dr. Johnson and this community, because that is a tremendous amount of work that's going in, and I know our kids are benefiting. I've had the opportunity to visit the sites. Everybody seems to be right on point. The first day is always some hiccups, but it moves forward. Just keep it moving, and excellent job.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say thanks. When I was a beginning teacher here, that was one of my first experiences, was working at summer school, and it was a vibrant program at the time, and it's delightful to see it come back, and I look forward to hearing and seeing more good things during summer school. So thank you very much,
Thank
both
you
of you.
very much. Thank you.
Moving forward with the equity plan update, I have the privilege to share with you some of the information regarding our equity plan. Let me just first start by saying, I believe it's an African proverb that says the rise and fall of a nation begins in the home of its people. And our school plays a role in that. And I want to say, first and foremost, at the beginning, when we came here, there was an ad hoc committee, and they gave us, I want to say, a very good plan and / blueprint for some things that we could do to help improve. And I want to say, at the end of this year, now as it's coming to a close, I hope that you feel that some of the things that we've been able to do is reflective of in the spirit that you had planned. So let me just share with you some of the most recent things that we've been able to do. We were delayed last month, so we'll just share it at this point in time. As you know, violence within our community, our goal is to address that piece, and we went to the Stand Against Violence rally that was with Angela Moore with the YWCA. So we're very proud and pleased to participate in the event with the students from our LULAC and also from our MEO organization at the high school. It was a tremendous event, and we're very thankful to participate in that. We also want to thank Mrs. Peltz and Ms. Bell and Ms. Papke for our ongoing efforts regarding the SEED program. That is seeking educational equity and diversity. That SEED training, they conduct that training, I believe it's once a month. And I want to say thank you to all of you for the efforts regarding that SEED program. It's an excellent program, and it will be ongoing. One of the items that was discussed was our efforts around what are we doing with some of our students around disorderly conducts, our students, and reducing the number of infractions that they have that involve and require police contact. So we had a meeting with the SRO officers and our administrators to get a better understanding of that, and we believe we've come up with a pretty good plan to help address that moving forward. So we're very thankful to our administrators and our partners with the Beloit Police Department in helping us address some of those issues. So we look forward to seeing some of the items that we have in the plan put into place in the upcoming school year. The MEO and the ROTC Awards Banquet. Let me just tell you, I'll take my hat off to Sergeant Bell, First Sergeant Bell, who has retired with 50 years of service. I would also take my hat off to Tasha Bell, who headed the MEO Student Awards Banquet. That was an outstanding event recognizing somewhere around 350 to 400 of our students. It was absolutely outstanding, so I appreciate that, and thank you so much. Our recruitment efforts will continue to be ongoing. As you know, we've gone around to several different colleges and universities. We will continue those efforts. We believe you're going to see some outstanding results, especially in the area of diversifying our staff, our teaching and administrative staff. So we look forward to seeing that in the near future. The last thing I report on is our providing additional access to the students at RCAA. Our goal is to pursue a move to the Beloit Memorial High School to provide those students with greater access to educational opportunities. So, thank you. Pending your questions.
Any questions? Seeing none, just again, thank you, Dr. Williams, for the update, for all the hard work, to the committee and to the ideas generated, for pushing our district and pushing this board to look at opportunities, avenues, and needs for growth that had not been brought to the forefront or had not been emphasized enough. So helping us, thank you for helping us grow, and I look forward to continual progress. And based on the report that we get every month, we see there's still so much more for us to do. So thank you. Lisa?
Maybe I'm not remembering this correctly, but I thought that the ad hoc committee had some timelines. Do you know what I mean, for keeping the the district accountable for the changes. So while, I applaud all the work that you've done this year, and I can't remember exactly, because I feel like some items were tied to particular timelines. So, in the next 3 years, X ought to happen. So I wonder if that's something that you or, somebody you work with could identify and see how we're doing with regard to those timelines. Thank you.
Others? Seeing none, let's move forward then to reports to the board. First up, we have the Quality Committee report. Tasha, please.
Good evening. I would like to share out with you all from our final meeting of the year, which was on May 9th. We reviewed our minutes from April. We also had an update from our Merrill Center site. And Dr. Williams spoke about how well the program was going. It was our first year having the program. And then we also had a follow-up about juvenile justice. They have a juvenile justice diversion project, and one of our members is on the Equality Committee is David Wilson, and he's also involved in this project. So we had some conversations in April about it, and then we were able to bring an actual staff person, Jeremy Brown, who joined our meeting with us in May. And he was able to answer some of the questions that the committee had around what is the process, how do students get involved with juvenile justice, and what are those next steps. So definitely it was great for us as a committee to hear from someone who actually worked in juvenile justice. We also asked members who would be willing to return, and all of the people who were there, everyone said they would come back next year, so I'm extremely excited about that. This year was a really great year for the committee. We got some new faces, we got some new energy. We also were able to host a great event on March 12th, which was our Beloit and Beyond event, parent event. We had a great turnout. We partnered with the Boys and Girls Club on that event. So as a committee, I would say that we are looking forward to continuing the momentum that we have from this year into coming years. And that is all.
Questions or comments? Nora?
I just want to say you've done a really fine job in restructuring, in helping to restructure that committee. I know a couple years ago maybe it seemed to kind of lose some focus, and you've brought the focus back, and you've done a marvelous job. Thank you. Thank you.
So this is one of the committee meetings that I really enjoy going to. And it's one that, or the only one that I am a part of, that community members are a part of. And I think that that is so important with the initiatives that we're doing. And I recognize it's not always possible to have community members that are a part of the committees, but their voices are so important on this one. And thank you so much, Tasha.
Thank you.
Ms. Bell, I just want to say thank you for your outstanding commitment to the Equality Committee. I know how much work you put into it. Ms. Papke, I don't want to forget about you, because I know you all, that's your dynamic duo, I would say. But I also want to thank those people who are out there listening, and the people who come and participate in those committee meetings. I think it's a very worthwhile committee. It's very active, and we're actually out there doing things. And so this is a great opportunity for anyone who's out there who's saying to themselves, well, my voice is not heard. I assure you, if you take advantage, your voice is heard. So if you want to participate in the committee, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tasha. Next up, we are at committee reports. First up is Finance, Transportation, and Property Committee. Shelley, please.
The Finance, Transportation, and Property Committee met on June 14th. A couple of items of note. We did an insurance overview. There was a competitive bid review of that coverage, so we had several questions about it. John Emery was there to answer questions, and that was recommended to come to the full board for approval. The Durham contract for student transportation, there was only one formal bid, and so we are recommending awarding that 5-year contract to Durham. and we also had someone here from Durham that could answer questions for us. We had an interesting update on the school pantry. I think that was a huge eye-opener for myself and for others. That has been moved to Merrill Elementary, and we had a nice discussion as to how that has benefited the Merrill community, and they've definitely seen increase in the numbers. Also, something I think all of us, or I know I learned a little bit more about, was the parochial school transportation, and that we do reimburse parents for transportation. And then the audit will be starting on August 8th, our annual audit, with a presentation scheduled for January of 2017.
Questions or comments for Shelley? Seeing none, Lisa, for curriculum and instruction, please.
The curriculum committee met on June 14th, and so we began the meeting actually with what we call a reimagining of, not re-imaging, but reimagining of the committee and what that work ought to be. And so committee members spent a very short time sharing their vision of the direction that they see the committee going in. And I thought that that was a useful conversation for us to have with the administrators. We also had Mr. Bonds presented an overview of the department's focus over the next year. And this information is available online at the district website and included programming, professional development for teachers, interventions, and assessment plans. And it's a really accessible information, and if you have the chance to take a look at it, you really should. And we also got a program overview, an instructional technology program overview. So what are the district's strengths and deficits in terms of how in terms of classroom practice and using technology in the classroom? That was also really helpful. One item was moved to the meeting today, which is a new computer science course proposal at the high school. And that was all.
Thank you, Lisa. Are there any questions or comments for Lisa? Seeing none, Nora, could you help us with policy and personnel, please?
Thank you. The Policy and Personnel Committee met on May 24th to approve personnel recommendations before our business meeting, as we always do before our business meeting. Then on June 14th, we had our committee meeting, and in our committee meeting, we had a couple of first reading policies and a couple of second reading policies, which will be coming to us tonight. We had a policy on alcohol and other controlled substance use and enforcement. That policy was brought forward to update the language and then also to provide clarification on definitions as we look at what different infractions might actually mean. And then we also talked about policy 860, which is visitors in our school and the guidelines for those visitors, to make our schools a little more welcoming to our community, but yet at the same time updating language to make sure that they're also safe and secure for those who do visit. Updated language also for our official board representative policy 143, and in that particular policy we talk about our committees and our community commissions and involvement and what those are that we as board members are assigned to. We also talked about policy 164, which is board compensation and expense. We look at that policy every so often, and we updated the language in that one. And then regular board and regular board business meetings, we kind of cleaned that language up to match what we do in our meetings. And that's the business meeting that we're now in, and those meetings are not to go over 2 hours long unless we have a motion for an extension. Just to let you know that if you think this meeting's going long tonight, we will do that. So Additionally, we talked about, or we passed a resolution onto the full board authorizing board hearing officer and board expulsion officer. We do that every year at the end of the year for the upcoming year. So there will be a resolution coming forward for the whole board to discuss this evening as well. And then the personnel part of our committee, we approved a couple of job descriptions and moving forward a couple of individuals for hire. And the job descriptions were for the Community Relations and Public Information Coordinator. That is Melissa Badger's position, who was here earlier. And in that one, we just approved a job description that tried to capture many of the things that she does. Then we also approved the Coordinator of Facility Services job description, and that is someone to help in our business office, and that is some of the duties that our former business director had under her responsibilities. So we also had personnel recommendations, as we have those every meeting. Are there any questions?
Looks like none.
Okay,
Thank you very much, Nora. We're now at the point on the agenda for the consent list. Is there a motion to move forward the consent list?
I would move it forward with exception of 2 items. One on page 32, minutes, and one on page 38, please.
So you're asking to move forward all asterisk items minus item 8D and 8F. Is that correct?
That's page 32 and 38, yeah. Sorry, I'm flipping back and forth. Yes.
She's asking to move forward all items asterisk, which would be involving, or those included on the consent list, minus 8D and 8F, which we would be looking at separately.
Right.
Nora?
As I was looking through the special meeting, I think it was June 21st, is there a reason why it looked like duplicates at that meeting? I see that we have published proceedings, and that was our workshop. Okay, because they look almost exactly the same to me. It's not an error to have them in there twice.
Correct.
Okay, I left the meeting early, so.
Yep. Good question, Nora.
Yes. Could you explain?
So the one set of minutes is like the full set of minutes, and then the published proceedings is what will go to the Daily News and be published, because it's just a little bit shorter, takes out a lot of the extra conversation for publication purposes, because we pay by the letter. So the both versions go on our website, both versions are open record accessible. It's just we don't pay to put all the extra conversation in, so I just shorten them up a little bit, because technically minutes are just supposed to be action.
Okay.
So, I mean, I really could just say, the meeting was called to order, and this person presented, and you guys asked questions, and the meeting was adjourned, but I know that you guys like a little bit more to it, so that's the difference between the two agenda, or the two sets of minutes.
Thank you.
Lisa?
Pam, would you share why you want those 2 items excluded?
Just a correction in the minutes.
Oh, I see.
I guess we can move correction of them now and then put them back in.
Well, what's wrong?
Well, one is extremely minor, but it's on page 32, and it said where Dr. Johnson said that in 4th paragraph, he agreed that going from a 0% premium contribution to a 12% contribution would be more that should be expected. I'm sure it meant more than should be expected. Just a minor correction, but it puts a different meaning on it. The other is on page 38. There was a recessed session that was all recorded in the minutes, and I don't believe that conversation during a recess should be recorded, so I would say that paragraph 3, 4, and 5 should be taken out. 5 is just one sentence. So it should go from Sharma again said she recessed the meeting down to where it says Sharma reconvened the board into session with nothing in between because it was recessed. And if I could just, I guess, could I make a motion for that right now and then we can put it all back in changed, or do we want to take it separately?
So did you want to rescind the motion that is on the table?
Sure, I'll rescind that and move that we make these changes that I just mentioned to the minutes of the June 14th meeting and the June 8th meeting, please.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Discussion? So while I appreciate both recommendations, and I fully support the one on page 32, and I understand the reason for page 38, I think that by removing those paragraphs, it will be very unclear the actions taken.
Can I respond?
Yes.
Okay. I read that too, and I wanted to be sure that it was clear, and to me it is because, like Michelle said a few minutes ago, minutes are supposed to be actions and not conversations. And so we do have a lot of conversations in our minutes, and in this case, every action remains. It ends where you said that you were recessing the meeting, and it picks up where you said that you were reconvening the meeting and at 10:18, and I don't think it's appropriate at all to have conversation from a recess included in our official minutes.
So I think in the spirit of collaboration, I would agree with you. However, I think that if individuals were to question perhaps the conversation, because it is part of our published packet for this evening, it is still a matter of public record. So for official minute purposes, I would definitely support, and I appreciate the recommendations that you're making. Other discussion? Chris?
Could you just clarify what we're moving on?
So we're moving on pages 25 through 54. So on our agendas, it's everything with an asterisk. On page 32, there was a very small change regarding the percentage. And on page 38, Pam the motion has requested that paragraphs 3, 4, 5 after the recess be removed from the official minutes that we are being asked to approve this evening.
All right, thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, we're at Student Transportation Service Contract Award. Is there a motion?
I'll move approval that the board approves the Durham transportation contract for a term of 5 years.
A second?
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for being here for questions. Thank you for the support. And thank you for the great service. Next up, we have CISA 2 contract.
Move approval.
Second?
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Insurance overview and renewal, please. Pages 62 through 65.
Move approval?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We're now at budget adjustments, pages 66 through 70, please.
Move approval.
Is there a second? Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We're at Introduction to Computer Science 1, new course approval.
Move approval.
I'll second.
Just want to point out this is another Project Lead the Way course, further strengthening our program there. Great work and tremendous effort, and a thank you to all. Any discussion?
Yeah, just to,
First, can we clarify the seconder was Chris? And Pam, discussion?
yeah, just to be clear too, that this is costing the district, this class just cost us $800, that's it. It's grant funded.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. We have 2 policies for first reading.
I'll move forward policy 443.4 Rule 1, alcohol and/or other controlled substance use and enforcement regulations, as well as policy 860, visitors in the schools, and policy 860 Rule 1, guideline for school visitors, all first readings.
Thank you, Nora. Is there a second?
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. We're at policy 143, official board representative for second reading.
I'd like to move forward the policies for second reading, which include policy 143, official board representative, policy 164, board member compensation and expense, and policy 171, regular board meetings. These are policies that have gone through our committee twice and been reviewed once by the board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? For transparency purposes, I think that we just need to acknowledge that this does reflect a reduction in board member compensation, so we all understand the significance of our budgetary constraints, and the board recognizes that as well. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. We are now at resolution authorizing board hearing officer, board expulsion officer to determine pupil expulsion for 2016-2017 school year.
Move approval.
Second. I have a couple questions.
Nora?
According to our policy 183 Rule 1 on procedures for board resolutions, this resolution, I believe, has to have a number. So does that number come on right after it's been approved? It says, every written resolution and motion shall have endorsed therein the name of the person introducing it, and every written resolution considered during the board year shall be consecutively numbered, beginning with the month following the adoption of procedures. So after we approve this, then that's when it's numbered. Is that correct? Okay, so that was my only question.
Thank you, Nora. Lisa, as the maker of the motion, per policy, would you be willing to read the full resolution, starting with the authorizing but stopping before the whereas?
Sure. Authorizing the board hearing officer / board expulsion officer to determine pupil expulsion under Wisconsin State Statute 120.13, parent 1, parent E, 1 through 4, effective 1 July 2016 through 30 June 2017.
Thank you. As this is a resolution, it will require a roll call vote. Unless there are any objections to moving forward as in further conversation or discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote. Roll call, please.
Anderson Levy?
Aye.
Charles?
Aye.
Cronin? Aye. Guard?
Aye.
Golokar? Aye. Shermer?
Aye. We are now at personnel recommendations. I would ask that you refer to the updated Exhibit A for general employment dated 6/28/2016.
Move approval?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there discussion?
There was some discussion in our policy committee meeting regarding 3 of our educators coming from Spain, and there's just some clarification that we would like on what the program is and also the salary to make sure it's in line with what we agreed to do about a year and a half ago. So I just wanted to point that out, and I'm assuming that I'd like to make a friendly amendment that that's included in this motion.
So can I clarify the friendly amendment? It's not that we're questioning what the program is per se, because I believe those are the words that were chosen. So I think we, and I don't want to speak for you, Nora, but the intent was not to say we're questioning the program. We're questioning how one is put on the salary scale and if that was scripted in the contract.
Correct.
Okay. So do you want to clarify what the friendly amendment is then for Michelle?
Okay, the friendly amendment would be to make sure that the salary is in line with what we agreed in our contract originally.
So would the maker of the motion and the seconder be amenable to the friendly amendment as presented by Nora?
Yes.
Yes. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Nora?
I just have a question under number 9A. Is that something that we needed to vote on, or did I miss that?
So that is an asterisk item, so it's actually included with the consent list.
Okay, because I was looking through both of that when we went through that, and I did have a couple questions, but they were minor, so anyway, I'll let it go.
Could I ask that, because we have already approved that, could you ask those questions directly of Jamie, or if there's
Sure.
things outstanding? All right, thank you, Nora. We are now at items for discussion. Are there any items of interest for consideration at future meetings? And for announcements of future board meeting dates, committee meetings will be held here at COLAC on July the 12th. That will include finance, transportation, and property, curriculum and instruction, and policy and personnel. Our next scheduled business meeting will be here in this room on July 26th. Unless there are any objections, we will be adjourned at this time. Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, and board members, please remember we are recessed from our previous meeting, so please head back to our previous location. Thank you.